So now he's starting to listen to my leg. I can stop him from diving onto the other horse, where before, instead of having that fight and trying to force him off with my leg, just so he starts to set himself up for jumping off the mark and jumping straight into collection. And just try and work on that, teach him that transition up. The better he gets at moving through traffic, makes him a bit more, like I said, a bit more tractable. He just realises that if you go out, you just got to come back in, mate. You can back out 20 times and we'll just put him in 20 times. And don't want to put too much pressure on him now. Save that, you know, increase the pressure each time we come down here. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Just be happy with a good result, then come again, do a bit more like next time. Yeah, with this one, we'll just do a bit of work, introduce him to the pony, and then we'll take him out to the, we got a set of barriers out there, we'll take him out to those and put him through those ones. He's casual, this dude. He's like, but he's just lovable. He just pat me, ride me, pat me, love me. Hey mate. This is the next step, to introduce him to the pony, and then from that we're gonna start doing a bit of barrier work. So what we want is, I want to be able to park the pony next to, park my horse next to the pony and have him just relax and stand there. Bring him around here, make him do three or four circles, and then take him back in again until he realises that there's a spot for him to stand there and it's not running into the pony and it's not running away from the pony. So I'll stop him, side pass him in. Okay, same again, he got too keen. We'll pull him out, circle him the other way. Okay, that way, instead of having a fight with him and forcing him to stand where we want him to stand, we're trying to make the choice his. All right, we'll try again. Ooh. There we go. Yeah, and we just saw on that one, he's starting to listen to my leg and respect my leg a bit better. He wasn't so keen to charge through it. We'll just get him to stand and relax. Just do a couple of circles around. And then side pass him in. There we go, good. That's perfect. There, he came in nicely then, didn't try to run into the pony. He's had a bit of a breath there. He's relaxing. All right, and each stage we'll start getting him closer and closer and closer. So this drill's really good for getting them used to the pony and wanting to be with the pony. It's either be next to the pony or work. And it's also good for starting to set them up for the barriers, for jumping off the mark. So you'll see that we'll turn him out and we'll try and transition from a halt to a canter. And that starts to set him up for that, jumping out of the barriers, having those hind legs in underneath him and jumping out correctly. So there we go. So you see, we're going from either a halt or a walk to canter. He's not getting to a canter because he's using momentum and walking fast, then trotting fast and then cantering. He's got to pick himself up and go straight into a canter. And because we're doing it on the turn, he's always going out on the correct lead, and he's starting to establish that hind leg's got to come in underneath him, and he's got to power off the hind. There. So now he's starting to listen to my leg. I can stop him from diving onto the other horse, where before, instead of having that fight and trying to force him off with my leg, I just gave him a choice. It's either work or start to listen. All right, now he's starting to come good. And same thing, we'll roll him out to the left here. And yeah, we'll hopefully try and get that transition from halt to canter, or, you know, walk to canter. So yeah, just so he starts to set himself up for jumping off the mark and jumping straight into collection and onto the correct lead. We'll just give him a bit of time to chill. This is his spell area. The longer we can stand him here next to the pony, the more comfortable he wants to be. You know, if we start to rush this and start turning too quick and racing around and then getting to the other side and turning out, racing around, he all of a sudden no longer wants to be here because he knows it's going to follow with work. So we make it is going to follow with more work, but you're going to have a good rest area. All right, so we'll pick him up, let him know that something's going to happen, and just try and work on that, teach him that transition up, and then just have him just poke around on a nice canter, correct lead, bring him to a halt, and side pass him across. The reason I like to teach him to side pass is okay, he stopped listening to my inside leg there, so we pulled him out straight away. Put him back into work, and we'll try again. So yeah, he went to lay against the pony there. We'll side pass back in. And we want him to be mates with the pony, but we don't want him laying all over the pony. Like I said, the reason I do the side passing is also to help us with the barriers. So when you're lining them up for the barriers at the gates, they, you know, if they're a bit hesitant and they don't want to go in, they're going to look to try and get away from the entrance of the barriers. So instead of having to do a full circle and readjust, all we've got to do is keep them standing still and just move the shoulders across, park them in line with the gates, and then walk them forward. Good. All right, we'll go again. Good. So now you can see he's getting closer and closer and closer, and he still knows he's not allowed to lean against the pony. You can see in his mind he desperately wants to, but he understands he's not allowed to. So it's important, if he wants to go, I'll let him go and keep the pressure off him, let him understand the area that I want him to be in. So if he speeds up, the pony will speed up. If he slows down, the pony will slow down. So we make him realise that it doesn't matter what he does, we're not going to contain him, he just can't get away. So if he wants to go fast, he can go fast. If he wants to go slow, he can go slow. Now we'd prefer if he just goes slow and we do this at a walk and then do it at a trot. But if he wants to race off, we'll just get Belle to speed up and she'll stay beside him. Now we'll trot. All right, so head across the diagonal and I'll slow down and I'll come up this side, and that way we get used to my horse coming in from behind another horse, coming up forward to take that position next to the wall. And he also gets used to changing his speed, so we'll go again this one. So yeah, so I'll slow him up, come in behind, and then speed him up to catch up. Good. Okay, so this helps with making them a bit more tractable in a pack. And again, this one. So he starts to realise that he's with the pony, but he's still independent. He's still got to do what he's got to do, what I'm asking him to do, this one. And hopefully, you know, the more and more we do stuff like this, yeah, this one, the better he gets at moving through traffic. Makes him a bit more, like I said, a bit more tractable and a bit more aware that you're not just galloping beside another horse. You've also got to do what the jockeys ask you to do. Yep. Okay, and now we'll go across the diagonal, and this time I'll get Belle to do what I was doing, jump up the inside, so that my horse starts to become aware that someone might come from behind. Okay, and this one. All right. And that's it. So yeah, so now my horse starting to get used to someone coming up from behind it, catching up. Yep, this one. Cool. All right, and that'll do. That. Okay, so what we'll do now is I'll open the gate and we'll head out. We have barriers just out here that we just walk them through just to familiarise them before we take them up to the proper set. Always open the gate off the ponies, off the horses, that way they get used to it, and like I said, it sets them up for the barriers. So we've moved the sand so the gate should come a bit further this time. So yeah, so I bring it right round, create a wedge for him to back into. There we go. Get his ass into that wedge, and I'll just get him to drop, and then when he drops, relax him, and then start banging the gate. Just ask him for another step, see if I can get that gate to come a bit more tighter. There we go, and just get it squeezing right in there. His ass is in against that wall, and the gate's squeezing him. He's feeling nice and tight, and we get him relaxed about it. Have him lower his pole below the wither. That way, when they got their pole below their wither, they're in a trainable sort of frame of mind, willing to learn and listen. It's when they've got their heads up, you know, the learning sort of disappears a bit. So yeah, so like I said, this is what we do to set them up for going through the barriers, and it just adds to all those other drills that we do. You know, get them to touch the tie-up rails and the wash bay rails. And so when I take him to the barriers now, he won't be fussed about much at all. He'll just go in and willing to relax and look around and learn. So, good. Cool. All right, so we'll just follow the pony through, and yeah, so normally we just get the pony to walk through, and we get him to stop at the front, so that way Mole's got something to see, something to follow. And then that's it. So as soon as mine's happy, Belle will take another couple of steps, then I'll go another couple, she'll take another. And that way I don't have to restrict my horse. He can't race out because the pony's in the way, rather than, you know, me forcing him to stay in here. Now it's his choice, and there's no restriction from the rein or the bit, and that way we can just get a more enjoyable, a softer kind of result. All right, we'll get the pony to go forward again. All right, go out and stand sideways. And there, and then I just get this pony to stand as long as possible, nice and relaxed. These barriers are good because they look up to the track there. They get to see all these other horses working, and that sort of distracts them instead of looking at the gates and the barriers and getting worried about the confined space that they're in. They're looking around to see all the action, what's going on and why is it going on, and you know, it's a great distraction for them. So you can see he's up there watching that horse work down the lane, and rather than worrying about these gates here beside him. So yeah, so that's the result we're after. Yeah, the barriers are such a, you know, volatile, unsafe sort of area to be in. It's important to do as much work as you can to make them as safe as possible in here. You know, like for things to go wrong in here, it is a scary area. These bars, they're low. You know, if the horse rears, you've got a chance of hitting them. You know, so many things could go wrong. If the horse rears up, gets its leg over and stuck, you know, that's another situation. There's so many volatile, dangerous situations that could occur. So the more prep we put into them before we bring them to this, the better they are. You know, all that bagging down, all that leg yielding, all that touching rails, it set them up for this. The bag with the cans in it, all that noise, it sets them up for this moment right here. And if we can, he's having a chew and he's gone down, he's done his breath now, he's very, very relaxed about being in here now. He doesn't care. Now he's going to want to sniff them and see what they're about. But the safer we can make them in here, the better it is for the jockeys later on, and the easier it is for them. You don't have that anxiety, and you know, and if, like you saw him come in, if we can get them just come in pretty much on their own will, take the fight away, it's just it's a better result. They feel comfortable about coming here and doing it again and again and again. It's one thing, yeah, I don't think we do enough of. You know, it is an important part of the race. You know, that gate speed is very important. That being able to relax and not get too stressed while they're in here, that's very important for the horse's mental attitude before he jumps out into a race. So So the more work we can do early days, the more relaxed we can make them, the better it is for them. All right, Belle, we'll go do a lap and then we'll come back and bring them through again. See. Ooh. So these barriers were done by Kiramar's handyman guys. They put all the rubber up and made them safe and whatnot. So this ledge here, we made them leave. Notice we have no ledges on the inside of the barriers, but we have a ledge on the outside. So if you got one that is a bit wary of the ledge, bring him into this section, and there's a lot more room. He doesn't feel claustrophobic, and I side pass him across onto that ledge, bang the side of the tin, get him used to it that way, rather than having to force them into a tight space and deal with it. So that way I can bring him in, side pass him across, bang the tin, turn them around, do the other side. So yeah, so any horses that have already done all this work prior and then all of a sudden establish barrier problems, that's how I go about fixing them. It's covered in rubber, it's nice and safe. So because the gates are being taken off those barriers, what we'll do is we'll reverse the horse into this V, and that simulates the gates behind him, sitting back on the gates. So I'll back him in. You know, so first time they feel it, they can have a bit of a kick and whatnot. It's only rubber. They're safe. They're not going to hurt themselves, and everything normally works out really well. Okay, I'm very happy with how he walked through that first time. We're going to walk him through again. Just make him stand and relax a bit. Don't want to put too much pressure on him now. Save that. You know, increase the pressure each time we come down here. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Just be happy with a good result. Then come again, do a bit more like next time. All right. Cool. That's it. Yep, couple more. Ooh, so that's perfect. I didn't have to put any leg on him or ask him. He just followed the pony in, and pony just shunted the gate there a little bit, so there's a bit of movement. That was good. And normally we have a bell on the ground or someone on the ground to shut and open those gates and make a bit of noise in front of them, but we haven't got that today. We'll do it with the next lot though. They're up to that stage, we'll take them down to the other barriers. But I'm happy with how he's gone with these ones. Like I said, we'll make a bit of noise. You know, let him relax and deal with that. And like I said, all those cans, everything, that set him up for this. Okay, he's gone out. So even though we went out, instead of putting pressure on him in there to force him to stay, he goes out. He just realises that if you go out, you just got to come back in, mate. And you know, he can back out 20 times, and we'll just put him in 20 times, and until he starts to realise that, you know, it's a waste of time going out. We're just going to go back in, and try and this stage, early stage, don't have any fights with them. Don't force them. Just let them work it out for themselves. All right. And that'll do him for today. We'll take him back home, and he can think about that overnight.